Okay, good morning, everyone. So today we are going to discuss our topic for the chapter 5, which is about normalization. So in this chapter, you will learn what normalization is and what role it plays in the database design process, about the normal forms, which is called as the first normal form, second normal form, third normal form, BCNF or the Boyce Code normal form, and the fourth normal form. Then, how normal forms can be transformed from lower normal forms to higher normal forms, and then that normalization and ER modeling are used concurrently to produce a good database design, and lastly, that some situations require denormalization to generate information efficiently. Okay, so that's it. So let's start with the normalization. Normalization, as defined here, is a process that improves a database design by generating relations that are of higher normal forms. So, yung process ng normalization ay syempre ginagawa to improve the database design. So, anong nangyayari? We are going to generate relations. So, ano nga ibig sabihin ng relations? Relations are the tables. Normalization is a process for evaluating and correcting data tables and correcting table structures to minimize data redundancies, thereby reducing the likelihood of data anomalies. So, based from our past discussions from the past chapters, uh, in order to eliminate redundancy and data anomalies, so this normalization process needs to be done. The normalization process involves assigning attributes to tables based on the concept of determination you learned about the chapter 4. So sa chapter 4, pinag-aralan natin yung about data model and ERD. So i-apply natin yung mga uh, napag-aralan natin on how we determine the attributes, the relationship of the entities, and those entities that represents a particular relation or table in the normalization process. The objective of normalization is to create relations where every dependency is on the key, the whole key, and nothing but the key. So, ang pinaka-objective, dapat pagdating ng last process ng normalization natin, kailangan lahat ng attributes natin dun sa ating mga table ay nakadepende lamang sa isang primary key, ano? On a key. Yan. So, normalization works through a series of stages. So, yung mga normal form na sinabi ko kanina ay stages na masasabi natin. So, we have the first normal form or the 1NF, 2NF, then 3NF, and we also have the Boyce Code normal form. But basically, hindi na umaabot kalimitan dito sa Boyce Code normal form yung normalization process. Kasi pagdating sa 3NF ay na-attain na natin yung objective kaya ginagawa natin ang normalization process. Also, any relation that is in BCNF is in 3NF. So, any relation in 3NF is in 2NF and any relation in 2NF is in 1NF. So, ibig sabihin, kapag na-reach natin yung 2NF, ibig sabihin, tapos na tayo sa 1NF. No? At kung nasa 3NF na tayo, ibig sabihin, okay na yung 2NF natin. Okay? Okay. So, bakit natin kailangan magkaroon ng normalization process? So, to get a better idea of the normalization process, consider the simplified database activities by construction company that manages several building projects. So, we have here a scenario wherein meron tayong isang construction company na kailangan natin i-simplify yung database activity nila. So, yung construction company na yun ay nag-manage ng several building projects. Okay? So, at andito yung mga, ano ang tawag dito? Yung pinag-aralan natin sa ER modeling, yung rules na kinukuha sa isang organization para magamit natin sa ER modeling natin. nakalimutan ko yung term, pero rules yun. Ano? Business rules, yun. So, that's it. Yan. Ito yung mga business rules na kailangan nating sundin. Okay? So, first rule, each project has its own project number, name, employees assigned to it, and so on. Then, each employee has an employee number, name, and job classification, such as engineer or computer technician. The company charges its clients by billing the hours spent on each contract. The hourly billing rate is dependent on the employee's position. For example, 1 hour of computer technician time is billed at a different rate than 1 hour of engineer time. So, may kanya-kanyang rate yung bawat employee dun sa isang project depende sa kanilang position. So, periodically, a report is generated that contains the information displayed in table 5.1. So, based on the rules that was provided here, so merong yearly na report na generate. So, at ito yung naka-display dito sa ating table 5.1. Okay, so we have here the attributes of our possible attributes of our table. So we have here the project number, project name, employee number, employee name. We have the job class, or ito yung type ng job nila, yung job classification. We also have the charge per hour. Ito yung parang rate nila. Then, hours billed. Ito yung kung ilang oras sila nagtrabaho. Then, yung total charge, ito ay isang derived attribute. Ibig sabihin, ito ay computed. So, nakukompute ito base sa hours billed multiplied by the charge hour. So, kung ilang oras sila nagtrabaho, i-multiply sa rate nila per hour. So, ito yun. Parang example is 23.8 multiplied by 85.50. And the result will be the total charge. Okay? So, this is the sample report layout na pinoproduce ng company na yun. So, as you can see here, so we have the project number and we have the project name Evergreen. So, sa isang project, kung papansin nyo, we have more than one employee. And so, dito sa Evergreen project, nakikita natin dito, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 employees, and they have their own employee number. Those employees have their own job classes. And pagdating dito, nakikita natin na one or more employee can have a single job classification. So, kung ito si John Genius at si Alice K. Johnson, ay pareho ang kanilang job classification. So, dito pa lang, nakikita natin na meron dito data redundancy. And, syempre, dito sa umpisa ng ating report, di ba? Kung ilalagay natin dito sa table, syempre, magiging paulit-ulit itong project number at itong project name, di ba? Kasi iisa lang naman ang project nitong mga to, di ba? Okay? And so, the same way goes with the other projects and all the attributes that depends on that particular project. Okay. So, ito yung structure ng report na pagdating dito sa ating figure 5.1 ay nirepresent in tabular form. At ito siya. Ay, sorry. Nawala. Sorry. Ayan. So, this is the tabular representation of the report. And so, basically, ang pinag-usap na natin dito ay yung table mismo sa database natin. Okay? So, ayan. So, we have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 columns. 7 columns of table. And those column names represents the attributes of our table. We can call this table as provided in the example as RPT format. Ayan. Okay. So, kung titingnan natin dito, ayan, sabi ko nga kanina, kailangang ipadaanin sa normalization process ang table na ito. Ano? At i-discuss natin mamaya sa baba kung ano yung mga dahilan bakit. Okay? So, una, syempre, yung data redundancy, ano, na nakikita natin with regards to the job classification and the project name na nakalagay dito. Okay? As well as the employee name in one or more project. Kasi sa isang project, sa dalawang project, maaaring yung isang employee ay naka-assign dun sa dalawang project na yun. Like for example, itong si Alice K. Johnson, naka-assign siya sa Evergreen, at the same time, na-assign din siya sa Rolling Tide. Andito siya, si Alice K. Johnson. Ano? Okay. So, ganun din yung ibang employee, ano, na maaaring na-assign sa higit sa isa pang project. Okay. Okay. So, andito yung discussion. Note that the data in Figure 5.1 reflects the assignment of employees to project. Apparently, employee can be assigned to more than one project. So, yung sabi ko sa inyo, di ba? Yung isang employee ay pwedeng ma-assign sa higit sa isa pang project. For example, eto, meron si Darlene Smithson. Ayan. Sino ba si Darlene Smithson? Employee number 112. Saan siya? Eto. Darlene Smithson, eto siya, sa Amber Wave. Then, pagdating sa Starlight or Starfight? Starflight. Okay. Nandito rin siya, si Darlene M. Smithson. Ano? Pareho siya naka-assign doon. Ito. Has been assigned to two projects, Amber Wave and Starflight. Given the structure of the dataset, each project includes only a single occurrence of any one employee. Okay. Therefore, knowing the project number and employee number value will let you find the job classification and its hourly charge. In addition, you will know the total number of hours each employee worked on each project. Ibig sabihin, kapag alam natin yung project number at employee number. Ano? Kasi pag ang inalam lang natin ay employee number, hindi natin ma-determine aling project ba yun. Kasi dalawa yung project na naka-assign si Darlene Smithson, di ba? O kaya naman, pag inalam lang natin ay yung project number, hindi natin maaalaman sa ano yung hourly rate niya on that particular project, di ba? So, sabi pa dito, the total charge is a derived attribute whose value can be computed by multiplying the hours billed and the charge per hour. Ano? And that has not been included in the figure 5.1. So, hindi siya nakasama dito. No? Wala siya dito. Okay? No structural harm is done if this derived attribute is included. So, unfortunately, the structure of data in the figure that I am discussing above does not conform to the requirements discussed in Chapter 4 with regards to the data anomalies and data redundancy problems. Nor does it handle data very well. Consider the following deficiencies. So, ito yung mga deficiencies na meron dun sa ating table. The project number is apparently intended to be a primary key, or at least a part of the primary key. Di ba? Kasi since pinag-uusapan natin dito is a project that is being worked on by a particular company. So, parang parang ma-assess natin na the project number must be the primary key of this table. Ano? But it contains null values. Ano? So, alam naman natin, a primary key cannot contain null value and that primary key cannot be null. Okay? So, given the preceding discussion, you know that project number plus employee number will define each row. So, kung patatandaan nyo, we have another type of key which is called the composite key at yun yung combination of two attributes that is considered as the primary key of the table. So, ibig sabihin, kapag pinagsama natin yung primary project number at employee number, pwede nating ma-identify yung each row dun sa ating table. Okay? And that could serve as a primary key of the table. Next, the table entries invite data inconsistencies. No? Di ba marami tayong data inconsistencies? So for example, ayan, job class, yung job classification. Job classification value electrical engineer might be entered as elect.eng. So ibig sabihin, pag ini-input or pag sinesave natin sa table yung ating data, like for example yung electrical engineer na value, maaring ma-input siya ng iba't ibang value. Like for example, minsan naka-abbreviate siya, yung parang katulad nito, ayan, o maaaring engineer, naka-abbreviate lang yung electrical, or minsan ay parehong naka-abbreviate ng ganito, o kaya naman ay parehong ang i-input lang ng user ay lang. Ano? So, ang mangyayari, magkakaroon ng inconsistency dun sa entry ng data na yun. Okay? So, pag ginamit sa isang query, yung halimbawa, gustong hanapin lahat ng employee na merong classification na electrical engineer at ang nilagay ay buong electrical engineer at ganito yung mga in-input ng user, hindi madi-display yung mga employee na merong ganito na job classification na input. Ano? Then, the table displays data redundancies. Those data redundancies yield the following anomalies. Yan. So, dun sa data redundancies, ito yung mga resulted na anomalies na pwedeng makuha dun sa table. Una, we have the update anomalies. Yung update anomalies ay, syempre, based on our previous discussion, uh, ito yung pumapatungkol sa pag nagkakaroon tayo ng changes on the value that was stored in our database. No? So, ito yung example. We have modifying the job class for employee number 105 requires potentially many alterations. One per each employee number 105. Diba? So, di ba, si 105, sino siya? Si 105 ay si Alice K. Johnson. Ano? At kung i-update yung kanyang job classification, dalawang beses natin siyang gagawin. Ano? So, di ba, may rule tayo na dapat ang isang particular data sa isang table sa database ay nakastore lang sa iisang location. At one time lang siyang magkakaroon ng insertion, ng update, or ng deletion. Ganun, di ba? Then, for insertion anomalies, just to complete a row definition, a new employee must be assigned to a project. If the employee is not yet assigned, a phantom project must be created to complete the employee data entry. Diba? So, sa insertion naman, kapag mag-a-add tayo ng panibagong employee, at yung employee ay hindi pa naka-assign sa isang project, so, anong i-input natin na data dun sa ating sa ating dito sa ating project number at project name. 'Di ba? Wala. So ibig sabihin parang magkakaroon ng phantom or yung sinasabi ko dati na yung create mo lang muna. Parang anong term 'yun? Yung tawag doon. Basta yung parang create mo lang siya, ibig sabihin siya ay nakalimutan ko na yung tinatawag ko. So yun. Hindi ko maalala. Yan. Okay? Phantom project. Para lang makompleto yung entry dun sa isang employee. Okay? Then, we have the deletion anomalies. And suppose that only, so sa deletion, ito yung pag nag-delete tayo ng data dun sa ating table. Suppose that only one employee is associated with a given project. If that employee leaves the company and the employee data are deleted, the project information will be also deleted. So, halimbawa, yung isang employee dito, nag-leave siya dun sa company. And sino pwede nating pag-leave? Si Darlene Smithson, kapag nag-leave siya, nag-resign siya dito sa company na to, at dinelete yung employer record niya na yon, yung project information na Starflight at Amberwave ay madidelete din. So, magkakaroon ng deletion anomaly when it comes to the project details na associated dun sa employee na yun. Okay? To prevent the loss of the project information, a fictitious employee must be created just to save the project information. Okay? So, yeah. So, yun lang yung ilan sa mga deficiencies ng table natin. Ano? Na that could be the reason kaya kailangan nating pataanin sa normalization process yung table. Okay? So, ito yung normalization process na kailangan natin sundin. So, in this section, you will learn how to use normalization to produce a set of normalized tables to store that the data will be used to generate the required information. The objective of normalization is to ensure that the table conforms to the concept of a well-formed relations, that is, tables that have the following characteristics. So dapat, at the end of the normalization process, ito yung mga characteristics ng table na meron tayo dun sa ating database. Una, each table represents a single subject. Ibig sabihin, kung ang pinag-uusapan lang nun ay tungkol sa employee, employee lang yun. Kung yun ay tungkol lang sa project lang yan. Wala dapat ibang uh, data na nagre-represent ng ibang klase ng entity dun sa ating table. For example, a course table will contain only data that directly pertains to courses. Similarly, a student table will contain only student data. No? Hindi pwede yung student merong laman na course at yung course may laman na student. Okay? So, number 2, no data item will be unnecessarily stored in more than one table. In short, tables have minimum controlled redundancy. Ito yung lagi natin sinasabi na uh, when storing a particular data on our database, dapat sa iisang table lang siya. Hindi pwedeng ma-store yung data na yon sa higit sa isa pang table. Ano? The reason for this requirement is to ensure that the data are updated in only one place. Then, number 3, all 9 non-prime attributes in a table are dependent on the primary key. So, dapat lahat ng non-prime attributes, ibig sabihin ito yung hindi mga primary key, dapat ay nakadepende lamang sila dun sa iisang primary key. The entire primary key and nothing but the primary key. Okay? Hindi pwedeng dumepende sa ibang field or sa non-prime attributes. The reason for this requirement is to ensure that the data are uniquely identifiable by a primary key value. Ito yung last, each table is void of insertion, update, or deletion anomalies. So, ibig sabihin, dapat wala tayong makikita kahit isang anomaly, kahit anong type pa yan, dun sa mga table natin. No? This is to ensure that integrity and consistency of the data. Okay? Yeah. So, yun yung mga reasons na dapat nating ma-attain. Mga objectives na dapat nating ma-attain. Okay. Now, ito yung mga normal forms. And, dito yung ilan sa mga characteristics ng bawat stages dun sa normalization process. First, normal form. The table format, dapat nasa table format na siya. Walang repeating groups. Pag sinabing walang repeating groups, ibig sabihin walang null values dun sa ating table. Ano? At doon, ina-identify yung mga primary key. Sa second normal form, dapat na-attain lahat ng characteristics ng first normal form and there should be no partial dependencies. Sa third normal form, dapat na-attain lahat ng characteristics ng second normal form and there should have no transitive dependencies. So, itong mga dependencies na to, mamaya i-discuss natin kung ano yung mga yan. Pagdating sa voice code normal form, every determinant is a candidate key. Ito yung special case lang ng 3NF. And then sa fourth normal form, 3NF and no independent multi-valued dependencies. Okay? So, isa-isahin natin yung mga stages. No? Pero bago yun, alamin natin muna ano yung mga dependency na pinag-usapan kanina. Okay? So here are the functional dependencies as presented in this table 5.3. Ano yung mga concept about that dependencies? Yun yung dependencies na pinag-usapan ay yung kung isang particular attribute or isang column doon sa table ay nakadepende doon sa isa pang column which is should be the primary key of that table. Ano? Okay, so we have here what we call the functional dependency. Okay, so ito yung definition niya. The attribute B is fully functionally dependent on the attribute A if each value of A determines one and only one value of B. Okay? Example, from our table, we have the project number and the project name. So, in this table, si project name is fully dependent on the project number. Kasi kapag alam natin yung project number, malalaman natin yung project name. Kapag alam natin yung project name, automatic alam din natin yung project number. No? So, yun yung isa example ng functional dependency. Yan. So, kapag nakakita kayo ng ganito, ang base sa ganyan is the project name functionally determines or the project number functionally determines the project number. Kasi ang tawag dito sa project name kung saan yun yung dinidependihan ng isa pang attribute, yun yung tinatawag na determinant. No? And the other one, which is yun yung nakadepende or yun yung dependent dun sa ating determinant, ang tawag sa kanya ay dependent attribute. Okay? So, in this case, attribute project number is known as the determinant and the attribute project name is known as the dependent attribute. Okay? So, yun yung functional dependency. Then, ito naman yung generalized definition niya ng functional dependency. Attribute A determines attribute B. Ano? That is, B is functionally dependent on A. If all of the rows in the table that agree in the value of the attribute A also agrees in the value for attribute B. Ano? Parang katulad dito sa yan. Pag-usapan lang natin is the employee number, employee name, at saka job class. Okay? Itong tatlo lang. Diba? Yan. Kung ito ay magiging isang table, ano? Itong tatlong column na to, yan lang. Wala ito at wala yung dalawa sa dulo. Yan. So, ang isipin natin, we have the primary key employee number. Ano? And ito yung magiging determinant attribute. And we have here employee name and the job class as the dependent attribute. Ano? So, the employee name is dependent on the employee number and the job class is dependent on the employee number. No? So, lahat ng columns, ang attributes dito sa ating table ay dependent on the determinant attribute, which is the employee number. Okay. Yan. So, meron tayong tinatawag ng fully functional dependency. No? If attribute B is functionally dependent on a composite key. So, ibig sabihin, yung primary key natin ay composed of two attributes na pinagsama. Ano? Ibig sabihin, dalawa siya. But not on any subset of the composite key. The attribute B is fully functionally dependent on A. Sabi dito, it is crucial to understand these concepts because they are used to derive the set of functional dependencies for a given relation. So, dapat alam natin yung mga dependency. Ano? Alam natin dapat dun sa ating table kung aling mga attributes ang nakadepende sa isa pang attribute. Ano? The normalization process works one relation at a time, identifying the dependencies on that relation and normalizing the relation. As you will see in the following sections, normalization starts by identifying the dependencies of a given relation and progressively breaking up the relation or the table into a set of new tables, based on the identified